Everyone, please take your seat. We're going to start now. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming on to this event. We are today going to release an innovative tool in support of countries' efforts to develop the next round of ambitious and implementable nationally determined contributions, the NDC 3.0 Navigator. To open this event, we had the honor to be addressed by a high-level panel. I will give the floor to Simon Stiell, Executive Secretary of the UNFCCC Secretariat. Simon, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you all for giving us a chance to say a few words. The cause and the depth of our climate crisis are well known, so I'll keep my focus on solutions. The Paris Agreement was designed with a ratchet mechanism, a tool in the Paris toolkit, knowing that countries would have to keep accelerating climate action and ambition over time. New national climate plans, NDCs, should embed this ambition. The next round, NDC 3.0, are due early next year and will be among the most important policy documents produced so far this century. A new report from the Energy Transitions Committee released yesterday underscores that these plans can serve as powerful blueprints to propel countries, economies, and societies forward. Each nationally determined contribution is exactly that, nationally determined. One size does not fit all. And done well, these new national climate plans should mean more growth, more jobs, more gender equality, access to secure and affordable clean energy, less pollution, better human health, adding up not just to less climate change, but also to higher living standards for everyone. We also know many parties need help putting their NDCs together, especially the most vulnerable nations, who face gale force economic, social, and political headwinds. So how can we all help? Together with the UN system and other partners, we've been focused on ways we can provide practical support to parties. One such tool is the NDC 3.0 Navigator website, developed by the NDC Partnership in collaboration with the Secretariat, UNDP, and WRI, launched here today. It is our modest aim that the Navigator can help connect parties to information, other tools, and contacts that will help them develop new NDCs that can be easily implemented and that help them both deal with climate change and meet other goals. We hope you find it useful and always welcome your feedback as to how we can improve it over time. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon. Our next key speaker is joining remotely. Pablo Vieira, Global Director of the NDC Partnership Support Unit. Welcome, Pablo. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. So thank you very much. I'm delighted to join you virtually today for the launch of the NDC 3.0 Navigator. Very sad to not be there with all of you, but excited about this tool that we feel will be of great use for developing countries and even developed countries as they advance in finding ways to raise ambition and develop NDCs 3.0 that will be submitted next year, not only representing their ambition, but making sure that it's a driver for fast implementation and mobilization of finance. The Navigator was developed in response to urgent needs to support countries' efforts to prepare their NDCs 3.0. And it is informed by the voices of more than 100 developing countries, which we actively support as the NDC partnership. Our commitment is to help raise the profile of country needs and align corresponding support, taking advantage of our broad membership that includes UN organizations, multilateral development banks, civil society, and other actors that are ready to support developing countries advance their needs. The Navigator reflects the most comprehensive summary of opportunities that are available for countries to increase their mitigation and adaptation ambition in ways that are aligned to their specific contexts and are just and equitable. It outlines concrete strategies to help ensure that NDC 3.0 are implementable and help unlock finance for their implementation. There is no shortage of technical guidance out there. That is the reality. However, it can be very challenging for countries, especially for developing countries, to navigate this guidance, identifying the ambition-raising opportunities that are most relevant for them, while incorporating the outcomes of the first global stocktake into their new NDCs. The Navigator brings together this guidance into a common framework that can be used by all countries in a way that they can find their own pathway to raising ambition based on their realities, on their needs, on their capacities, and on their specific development circumstances. At the core of the Navigator are the ideas, expertise, and resources we collected from more than 30 partners. I want to thank you, Simon, and also Marcus and Annie, for your team's tremendous collaboration in developing this tool over the last months. I am very confident that this Navigator will be a powerful tool for countries, informing and inspiring them as they develop their new NDCs, their NDCs 3.0, and helping them identify and articulate the support they need. Because the Navigator is not just about how you do things, it's also about finding the necessary resources and support so that you can implement those recommendations. The partnership complements the Navigator with our current NDC 3.0 support offering, the Global Call for NDCs 3.0 and LT-LEDs. Using the Navigator, countries will be better prepared to submit high-quality and comprehensive requests to be supported through the NDC partnership. We are already working with 50 countries, 50 developing countries, on mobilizing support for their NDC 3.0, and the number of countries requesting support is growing rapidly. I want to take this opportunity to invite all developing countries not only to use this Navigator to find ways of increasing ambition and making sure that by 2025 we're delivering NDCs that will put us again on track, but also to come to us and to request support so that we can mobilize the support in a rapid and flexible way so that you can develop your NDCs and deliver them in time next year. The NDC partnership stands ready to support countries in developing their NDCs 3.0. But I also want to remind partners that developing country ambition must be met with equally ambitious offers of support. We need to align support from everyone and make sure that countries are receiving the support in a coordinated manner so that they can deliver at the speed and scale that is necessary. Together, we can achieve more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pablo. We are waiting for one more speaker to open today, but he has not arrived. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Amanda McKee, Director of Knowledge and Learning of the NDC Partnership Support Unit, to present the NDC 3.0 Navigator. Amanda, please.
Thank you, Monica. And this is exciting because we've been talking about this for a few days. We've been working on this for a few months. So I'm really looking forward to showing you the Navigator and hope that you'll take a look, go home, explore it, but also reach out to us if you have questions, and I'll get to that in a moment. So this is the NDC 3.0 Navigator. It's an interactive tool to help countries identify opportunities to raise ambition and accelerate implementation of the next round of NDCs. The Navigator was designed around the needs of governments in developing countries and the organizations and individuals who are supporting them with the development of their NDC 3.0. So the Navigator, it presents the content and importance of NDCs 3.0 and how they can respond to the outcomes of the global stocktake. It helps countries to reflect on their current national circumstances, climate ambition, and wider development goals to help them identify nationally appropriate opportunities for NDC enhancement. And it helps them to explore the most impactful opportunities and strategies to raise the ambition and strengthen implementation, including through actual implementation of the global stocktake outcomes. So I wanted to quickly give you a sense of how the Navigator is structured. We've structured it according to what we call routes to ambitious and implementable NDCs. And there are 3 routes that focus on ambition-raising opportunities. These are the first 3 here. These represent the what of NDCs. So alignment to the Paris Agreement temperature goal, alignment to the Paris Agreement goal, global goal on adaptation, and then delivering a just and equitable transition. But as we know, ambitious NDCs aren't just about the ambition itself, but it's actually about the ability to implement that. And so we've also assembled 4 goals to help ensure that NDCs are implementable, helping countries reflect on their needs and priorities. And so these routes really represent the how of NDCs. We have one focused on mobilizing all of government and all of society, one on technology and capacity building as needs and as enablers, technically sound and transparent documents, and then probably most critically to a lot of countries, unlocking finance. So I want to start just briefly to show you a little bit through the tool. And I'm going to click through a few of the sections, but this is the Learn section. And in here, you can find information on how the Navigator is actually structured. So I just wanted to give a quick sneak peek of that. But what I showed you on the homepage were the routes, the 7 routes. Within each of those routes, we then present a series of opportunities. And within each opportunity, there are strategies, case studies, and then further technical resources. In this section, you can also look at how, learn a little bit about how NDCs 3.0 can support in NDC development. So the critical importance in terms of identifying opportunities to enhance NDC ambition, contributing to the global and collective efforts to implement the outcomes of the global stocktake, supporting implementation, emphasizing transparency requirements, but then also helping countries to identify and articulate access support needs to actually formulate their NDCs 3.0. The second section of the Navigator is what we call the reflect. So reflecting on country needs and priorities. And all countries will have a different path to their NDC 3.0. And this tool presents a list of guiding questions designed to prompt reflection and help identify the routes within the NDC Navigator that are most relevant to the different needs, circumstances of countries. What we've done in this section is we've put together a set of guiding questions focused on looking back, focused on present circumstances, and then the future direction. So by clicking through the questions, countries are prompted to reflect. So this is first of all meant as an exercise. So thinking about what does it mean to update my NDC. But once you enter in specific data, the tool will bring back a recommendation on the route that you should start with. So based on your answers, this is the route that reflects the most needs and opportunities that you've identified. So if we just give a little bit of an example and we can click on a few, what are some of the most significant gaps and challenges from the last NDCs? So was it data? Was it costing measures? Was it stakeholder engagement processes, setting and raising mitigation targets? In assessing the progress made on the last NDC, were any of the following significant barriers to targets and implementing actions? So was ensuring ownership a barrier? Was access to finance a barrier? Perhaps data and information was a barrier. Looking at the present circumstances, are there emissions in any sectors that are particularly high or growing that you're interested in looking at how they can be reflected in the NDC? Are there climate hazards and risks currently experienced or expected in the future. And one thing I should mention, I'm filling in all of these questions, but as a user, you can go through and really, if you're just interested in a couple of these questions, you can also click on those and it will still feed back the right results for you. But the questions go through different elements. Are there populations that are negatively affected? Are there potential negative impacts on populations that are yet to be identified or quantified that you want to think about and how to reflect that in your NDC? And importantly, we've also really taken into account the different policy instruments that are out there, because a lot has happened in countries since the development of their last NDC. Have you developed an LT-LEDS? Have you developed a NAP or an NBSAP? If yes, selecting those, the tool will help to identify how those documents can be linked to this process. And then lastly, looking at the future direction. So are there any technical or content areas for raising ambition that are intended to be prioritized in your NDC? So if you already know that you are looking to strengthen the mitigation component, you can help to narrow down the results here. And are there key processes to support implementability of the NDC that you really want to dive into? So once you've selected the various inputs that you want, you click submit, and the tool will give you back a suggestion on a route that you should look into. So in this case, it's suggesting that we look into alignment to the Paris Agreement temperature goal. So let's click into that. And this is where we're really starting to get into the substance of the tool. So I showed you the navigation element, but now this is the substance where we really see the expert curated strategies and technical assistant resources that we've put together through this tool. And I want to just take a moment to really thank and recognize all of the partners in the room who've contributed peer review, advice, resources, and ideas that are really what's populating this tool today. So within each route, at the top, you'll find a broad description that helps you understand the importance of the links to your NDC. We've also included information on how this is reflected within the Paris Agreement and how it's also reflected within the global stocktake. You'll find specific language pulling from the global stocktake so that you have that reference right there in front of you. From here, we also have a further set of guiding questions. And we've done this because we really want where the user wants that guidance, where they want help in prompting some of the information that they can access. These guiding questions will help narrow down to specific opportunities. But in addition, if you just would like to look at the full set of opportunities that are available or that are recommended within this route, you can scroll down, look and see the different ways that you could look at the Paris Agreement temperature goal and click into any of these. Before I click into one of the opportunities, I wanted to show one last thing on this page, because in this particular case, achieving the Paris Agreement temperature goal is also inextricably linked to all of the other routes that we have in the Navigator, particularly for successful implementation. And so at the bottom of each page, you'll see a list of the critical linkages to other routes in the NDC 3.0 Navigator. And these types of links are really to help inform users of the various options that can not only help to raise the ambition of their NDC, but also help to ensure that it's implementable. And I'll come back to some of this in a moment. But if we click on one of the opportunities, from here, you can see a lot more detail. So what we have on this page, a short description, again, more specific links to the global stocktake. So for this particular opportunity, what's the language within the global stocktake that's relevant? And then we have a set of strategies. And these are really where we get to the what could you be doing? What could you be exploring? And so if you're looking at setting a higher target, you could be looking at increasing the ambition of your 2030 target. You could be looking at setting the 2035 target, looking at adding additional sectors or gases to the target. And within each of these little drop downs, there's a little bit more information on what that strategy entails, but links to some of the resources that exist, some of the partners that are working on this, also links to some of the other routes within the Navigator, which are, as I mentioned, linked to this particular opportunity. On this page, you'll also find country examples where countries have successfully implemented some of the strategies that are being proposed, so you can see that in practice. And then we also have links to further resources. And this is where we've really curated across our partners the different types of tools, guidance documents, checklists that are available to help you think through these particular strategies. And then lastly, we again have links to other routes to really encourage users to dive into these different sections of the Navigator. So just to give you one last example, I wanted to show the mobilizing all of government and all of society. So this is one of the routes that's more related to the implementation, ensuring that the NDC is implementable. And here you'll see again a different set of opportunities, looking at how you can engage with local and regional governments in the process, how you can leverage the private sector. So there's really a lot of information in this tool that I want to encourage you to take a look at. The last two things I wanted to show you are really calls to action. And the first one is for countries. This tool is meant to be a starting point to inform and to inspire. The idea is that it can help you to articulate the different types of support requests that you might need. And so we've put a form on here for users to reach out to the NDC partnership directly so that we can discuss some of the support needs that you have and see how we can potentially match them with support through the partnership. So I want to just emphasize that that is an important kind of outcome of the tool. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is that this tool is really a living product. And we benefited from a lot of partners in terms of building it, but we also welcome the continual submission of ideas, of strategies, of resources. And as they're developed, we'll make them available on the website. In addition, if you feel like we've really missed a critical opportunity that you have expertise on, and that's important for countries to have access to, reach out again through the form on the Navigator, and we'll see how we can reflect it in the tool. So I'll stop there. That was really a quick overview of what's available. But again, really encourage partners to reach out if you have questions on it. Our goal is that this is a useful resource for everyone, and we're here to help make that happen. So back to you, Monica.
Thank you very much, Amanda. This is exciting. I know that everybody, when we hear a tool, we have an idea, and I really commend you to look into it and navigate the Navigator in many ways as much as you can. Before continuing with our program, we are honored to have the presence of Selwyn Hart, Special Advisor to the United Nations Secretary General on Climate Action and Just Transition, and he will give us some words. Please, Selwyn.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon. And Amanda, thank you so much for that excellent presentation. And Simon, thank you as well for your leadership as well, as the leadership of my colleague and friend, Marcos from UNDP. Colleagues, the guidance that was provided in the UAE consensus on the preparation of the next generation of NDCs was the clearest that we've ever received, that you've ever decided on, 1.5 align all greenhouse gas emissions and economy-wide. For every country, this will be a challenging exercise, but especially for developing countries and countries who lack both the financial and technological capacity to develop high quality, high ambition, nationally determined contributions. But it also represents an amazing opportunity to align climate and climate plans and ensure that they're fully anchored in the development plans and priorities of developing countries. And that unlike the previous generation of NDCs, where, and we've heard the frustration and in some instances anger, and I believe rightfully so, of developing countries that their previous NDCs were not implemented and did not receive the support that was promised. And this round of NDCs presents us with a unique opportunity, as I said, to anchor them in the national development plans and priorities of countries, but also use them as a tool to mobilize the investments that are solely that are needed both to build resilience and adapt, but also to ensure that developing countries can meaningfully participate in the energy transition. So this is the task before us. We don't have a lot of time. We have 6 months plus, and it will require coordination and collaboration on a scale that we've not done before. From the side of the UN, and we're working very closely with the NDC partnership, the Secretary General has clearly indicated that that United Nations is all in. This is an all-in moment for the United Nations, and and the Secretary General has graciously asked, and our colleagues from UNDP have graciously accepted to lead the UN system entities and the UN support under the Climate Promise. And I know that the Climate Promise is a key implementing partner of the NDC partnership. UNDP will be the point of contact in countries seeking support in the preparation of their NDC. They will be coordinating the various parts of the UN system to deliver, to bring the expertise and technical capacity of the system to bear in the preparation of the NDCs, and they will be our focal point in coordination platforms like the NDC partnership. Of course, this work requires resources, and I'm speaking specifically to the donors in this room. We can't do this on goodwill and good feelings. It requires solid resource backing from our donors. So as you in other rooms at this conference call for all countries to prepare high ambition NDCs, you must also follow up with the support to UNDP, the NDC partnership. I see our colleagues from the bank, the ones who are doing the hard work in terms of providing solid support to the developing countries. This is a once in a generation opportunity. It is there for the taking, but it requires all of us to work together in a collaborative spirit, and it needs all of us to support the institutions with the capacity and capability to provide that support to the developing countries. So we're here. Our office, we're not an implementer, we're different. We're a political office supporting the leadership of the Secretary General. But we're here, we're working closely with Simon and his excellent team. Simon, thank you for your leadership on this and for really driving and pushing this. We're working with our colleagues at UNDP as well. And this is something that the Secretary General will remain fully engaged on. As he said, it's an all-in moment. It's a moment of truth. And the UN is here to support the developing countries to make this round and this generation of NDCs truly count. So thank you so much, and apologies in advance. It's my last day here in Bonn, and I have to leave prematurely to meet some other folks before I go. But I would not, there's no way that I would have missed this really important moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for making the time, and have a safe travel back home. As Amanda mentioned, UNDP and WRI were key technical partners in the development of the Navigator, and they will share with us some brief reflections on the importance of the next round of NDCs and the potential and opportunities that the Navigator could bring in. We have here today Marcos Neto, Director of Sustainable Finance. No, sorry, I think this is not the correct one. Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations Development Program. You have the floor, Marcos.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Simon, Secretariat. Thank you, the NDC Partnership, Selwyn, and everybody for this important moment. I think it's now all in, but it's all hands on deck. And I think the Navigator is a great contribution to institutions like us. We're actually going to be on the ground, helping governments navigate the Navigator. Let's put it that way. So it's a great congratulation, all of this. And I think that the Navigator will help parties better understand how to translate the global stocktake into concrete steps that can inform the next generation of NDCs. Now, we at UNDP has been closely engaged in supporting countries' NDCs as one of the largest implementers of the NDC partnership. Under our climate promise, we have already supported 128 countries and over 85% of all developing countries NDC submissions during the last revision cycle. The Navigator responds to several of the gaps and needs that we have identified through our support to countries in the past, including the need for strong guidance, capacity building, and evidence base. It incorporates many of the cross-cutting issues we have seen help drive ambition and deliver not just climate action, but sustainable development outcomes, such as circular economy, just transition, and resiliency. The tool also reflects several of the lessons we learned. For example, we have seen that in most countries, ambition and implementation are intertwined, where progress on implementation of NDCs is needed to incentivize and inspire greater ambition. Through the routes that Abby mentioned, presented in the Navigator, these linkages are addressed and the strategies are provided. In addition, we have seen that inclusivity is a powerful lever for both ambition and implementation. The Navigator tool also incorporates approaches for ensuring inclusive and meaningful NDC processes. As Selwyn just mentioned, the Secretary General has put the entire UN system on notice to support the next generation of NDCs and have asked us, and we're very humbled to accept it, to lead the UN system on a Climate Promise 2025 to support the NDCs 3.0. These re-energized effort that we are calling Climate Promise 2025, we will scale up support to countries around three key pillars. First pillar is ambition, enhancing 2025 NDCs in response to the global stocktake and strengthening long-term strategies. Acceleration, scaling up implementation of climate action by driving finance and technical supports towards NDC targets. Inclusivity, strengthening whole of society approach through meaningful and long-term engagement with underrepresented actors. The NDC 3.0 Navigator will play a critical role in this collective effort, consolidating the guidance, resources, and experience from across the UN system partners and beyond. This will be a critical and consistent tool for countries in aiding in our technical support to the NDC processes. The routes that were presented in the Navigator fit very well under the three pillars of the climate promise in that sense. Now, in addition, as we go on to the field and work with countries in designing the NDCs, the good experiences and lessons that emerge from our support, we will feed them back to the Navigator in order for other countries to benefit from proven solutions and approach, hopefully creating a living feedback loop between the work we're doing and the Navigator. At the same time, the rollout of this Navigator must be paired with the political will, the resources, and the meaningful engagement to fully deliver impactful NDCs that are ambitious and implementable. UNDP and the broader UN system are now taking the next steps to roll out the Climate Promise 2025 to help countries define and deliver on key support needs related to these aspects. Throughout this process, we will look to the cutting-edge information and guidance offered by the Navigator as a key ingredient to support this work. We look forward to continue working close with partners, both within the UN system and beyond, to help countries deliver an ambitious, inclusive, and implementable NDCs. Once again, congratulations on launching the Navigator. We are partners on this process going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcos, and also have a good flight back. We have also joining online Dasgupta, CEO of World Resources Institute, President and CEO of the World Resources Institute. Can you hear us, Annie?
Yes, I can.
Thank you very much. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Look, it's an absolute pleasure to be part of this fantastic panel. I just want to congratulate everyone involved, everyone in this launch. This is this Navigator tool. And first, Amanda, that was a great demo. I haven't seen the actual product like this, so thank you for doing that. I think the key thing about this Navigator, which I think will become a go-to source, is not only it talks about ambition that you heard from everyone, but it also caters to one very important thing that Simon talked about, is that every country's path is different, and it allows countries with different paths actually to achieve this goal towards figuring out how to do the most impactful, most ambitious NDC. So I congratulate the whole team, and I think there's nothing like this that actually responds to practitioners with case studies, with knowledge that we have learned that can help us get to the next generation, as you heard from everyone, NDC 3.0. I just want to say from WRI, we've been very, very proud to be technical partners, along with many of our colleagues that you heard from, to help bring this together. I just want to say you heard a lot about routes. You know, Amanda talked about the different routes people can take. I think the coolest thing about this Navigator is that all the things we have learned in the last 10 years since Paris Agreement about how to implement and what are the barriers, what are the difficulties in implementing a robust NDC. That knowledge has been incorporated in this Navigators. So it's not only ambitious, but it's implementable and investable. That's the goal, right? It is that these are not only ambitious commitments, that it's possible to implement. One of the things I love most about this is this acknowledgement and understanding that this is, as Amanda showed, that implementing a NDC commitment is not a responsibility of one ministry. Not only is it responsibility for the whole government, the whole society, how businesses will work, how societies will work, and the acknowledgement it is a societal transformation. So big congratulations to incorporate this learning. From WRI, we focused on, from our work with NDCs over these years, kind of 5 points, and I want to take a moment to share that we brought together what we think the 5 things needs to happen in the next NDCs that are part and parcel of the Navigator right now. One is the obvious thing, is to set ambitious targets, right? IPCC said we need to reduce emission by 60% by 2035. But not only set ambitious target, but the differentiation to expect a developing country to stay in the same level of target, the richer countries, it's just not fair. This idea that the richer countries have to do more and set higher targets so that it gives space and time for developing countries to set targets that they can meet the development and climate goal together. Second, very importantly, to set sectoral targets. I can't emphasize this enough. That actually clearly sets path how sectoral transition will take place under the umbrella of overall ambition. This allows for countries to get organized, how to implement something, but also provides a very important signal for investments in that sector by other non-government private parties, so that investment, we all know this financing needs much more than government financing. Third, very important to incorporate resilience of climate impact. That is central to the story that we're hearing for us over the years, how resilience needs to be part and parcel of what we're talking about, how to intensify our climate action. The fourth point that we have focused a lot on and very much part of the Navigator is to mobilize action for investment, how to make things more investable and how to actually bring in the learning from ambition to projectize it and invest it, and how to also encourage private capital to flow in along with domestic and public capital. The last thing we have focused on how to make sure that climate action is people focused. So benefits of climate action is clearly visible for people, not for just the broader idea that people talk about just transition, but also people see the benefit of climate action, so they support more ambitious climate action. You've seen recently from all elections all over the world how important climate is in the discussion of what kind of how it matters to people and how they actually end up voting. I just want to, by saying that everyone has said this before, these NDCs are critically important for all the reasons speakers before me have pointed out. And next year in Belém, this is a critical moment to make sure ambition are not only ambitious, but they're implementable and financeable. And some of you listening to us right now, you'll say, oh, NDCs, we didn't implement NDCs the way we had done last time because people had made commitment that wasn't reached. I do want to say one thing. The evidence shows that countries that have more ambitious NDCs actually do more ambitious things. That is the evidence. So MDCs absolutely matter. These NDCs matter more than ever. The whole point of this Navigator is to bring the knowledge that the world has gathered over the last 10 years, how to do them better, how to do them more implementable is what the Navigator is. And it's a proud moment for us to be part of it. And I really want to congratulate the NDCP partnership to bringing all of us together to put together such a tool that makes this knowledge accessible and usable for everyone who's going to practice this in the next, I think Simon said next 6 months. I hope next 6 months or a few more months more than that. Thank you very much, Monica.
Thank you very much, Annie. We have come to the end of this event, and I give the floor to James Graber, Director of Mitigation Division at the UNFCCC Secretariat, to share some closing remarks. Thank you, James.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. I'll be very brief because I can't follow the various speakers we've had here today and the information before you. I think it speaks for itself, but thank you to the panel, distinguished panel colleagues. Thank you for this. I've been inspired, of course, to see the support over the last few months we've gotten from organizations, as you've heard today, to reflect these concrete opportunities and potential actions to fulfill the Paris Agreement. The NDC partnership, UNDP, the UNFCCC Secretary, we're all very keen to continue a discussion with all of you on how to use this tool. How can we serve the parties' efforts towards implementable NDCs? And as we all know, as you heard today, this is a work in progress. We've been forward about that. It has a lot of information, but by no way is it probably everything. And as you heard from Amanda and Marcos, we count on everyone's contribution going forward. We need to ensure this Navigator is continuously improved as we move forward in the little time we have, unfortunately. So I'll just stop at that, and I thank you all for your presence today. And again, thank you to all who have helped us get to this point, and I wish you a good evening.